welcome to another episode of Joey Logano's Carography, and today we're going to do it a little bit different. 1924 Model T. I'm going to teach you how to drive it. And this, I'm being honest with you, is my favorite car in my collection. It's the most challenging car to drive. It is way outside the box, but it's what made Ford Ford. It's what put them on the map. This thing is a blast, but it is a beast to drive. It is backwards of everything you typically do in your car. It is a lot of fun to put your wife in there, go for a date, go for a little cruise. You don't want to go too far because you're not going to get anywhere too quick. And you got to make sure the weather's good because the windows don't roll up. I'm going to walk around a little bit, show you some of the really cool details of a 1924 Model T. Wooden wheels, right? Who's got wooden wheels these days? And the width of the tire, it's like a bicycle. I've seen mountain bikes with tires wider than this. So as you can imagine, something high, narrow, and a very skinny tire, it's not very stable. But it's durable, believe it or not. They drove these things across the country. Imagine driving this across the country with your family on roads that are nothing like we have today. Obviously, the durability was definitely in mind when they were creating this car. Today, you look at hot rodders all around the country, they look for shaved door handles. Henry Ford had it figured out in 1924. Shaved door handles, had that clean look, it looked good, had a little latch behind, that's how you open the door. Suicide doors in the back because it's cool, maybe because the wheels right there too. Doesn't open very much. Your battery is up under here. As you can notice, the dome lights, this is not factory running equipment. This is something that we put in here just so you guys can see a little bit better. This is your spare tire, pretty basic. It actually doesn't have a center section of the wheel, so you have to unbolt the actual wheel from here, from the wooden wheel to put it on, because I think there must have been a wood shortage or something back then. I don't know why they did it, must have been easier. Top comes down, just pop your windshield open a little bit. That's called ram air. Here's your storage compartment, so you can maybe put a gallon of milk, and that's gonna be about it. If you have your tools to change a flat tire like I'm supposed to have, you're really not taking anything. I got 20 really big horsepowers under here, baby. Look at that bad boy. That'll get you going. 4-cylinder, it's simple, it is durable. I can tell you, we really haven't done much of this. I've had this thing for 7 or 8 years and haven't really touched a motor on this thing, and it just continues to run and run and run. To think, in 1924, they built almost 2 million of these. You may think they're kind of rare, right? Because you don't see them going down the road anymore. They built 2 million in 1 year. Think about that, in 1924, they were pumping these bad boys out. Very simple straight axles on the both front and the rear, the leaf spring in the center. So as you can imagine, it rides pretty rough. It wants to roll a lot. Every now and again with those skinny tires, you get some caster wobble going slow. If you hit a bump the wrong way, it'll get the steering going all over the place. So you really got to wheel this thing. You can't just kind of go along for the ride. You got to get in it and drive this thing. There's not much room here. What you'll notice though, there's only a door on the right side. That's a lot different than what your typical car is. One of the first things I noticed when I sat in the Model T is that they mounted the steering wheel backwards. But it's actually this way because you got your throttle here on your right hand, you got your timing that you adjust on your left hand, so your hands are actually closer to the throttle pedal or throttle lever in this case. And then your pedals, this is where it gets confusing. All the way to the right, that's your brake pedal, which typically that's your throttle pedal if you're trying to figure that out at home. That's the one that makes it go. In a Model T, that is the one that makes it stop. So don't panic and hit the wrong one because you'll move forward. But this pedal is your brake pedal. The middle is actually your reverse pedal. And then over here is your clutch. And essentially how you make this thing go, you got your brake handle over here, which kind of acts as your parking brake / shifter. And what you want to do is you put your foot on the clutch, you slide this thing forward, and you find a neutral with your foot on the clutch. And as you push it down, that's what makes it start going. And that is first gear, if you want to call it that. That gets you going, you get a little bit of speed going. And then when you release the pedal all the way, that's when it goes to like a direct drive. That's your second gear. And that's when you're plugging along and you hit your awesome top speed of about 25 miles an hour. And you feel like you're going a $180, but you know, the 25 is about all you want in this thing. So when you stop, that's where it gets a little confusing, right? Because you got to find neutral here. You got to come back on your throttle, right? Because you don't want your motor revving up real high. And then you grab your other foot that you typically go with to stop. So you got to kind of train your mind to think backwards a little bit when you drive this thing. That's what makes it so much fun to drive and so challenging, is because it's not natural to what you typically do. So first off, you gotta check the gas tank. Make sure there's some gas. Obviously, you're gonna put the Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium gasoline on this thing. That's a no-brainer. So you get this big old seat out of here. Nice springs. This is a suspension of the Model T, all in your butt. And then you got your gas tank under here. There's no fuel gauge. So you look in there, most of the time you shake it. You just shake the car, you see some gas in there, you're good to go. This is a little bit confusing, you know, sometimes a little bit of work if she's cold and it's the first time you're starting her up. But what you want to do is first, you turn the key over to the left, you hear the coils going. Once the car's fired up, you switch it over to it runs on the magnetos. So you start it over there, you put your timing all the way up, get your throttle, maybe just a little bit of throttle, not too much. Make sure your handbrake is all the way back, because you don't want this thing taking off and then running you over. I'm not gonna say I've been there before, but I've been there before. Then you go to the front of this thing. Your hand crank. You push it in, get a hold of it, make sure you always pull up. Don't push it down, because when this thing kicks back, it'll rip your hands off. So you wanna just get a hold of it, push it in, and give it a couple cranks. Maybe. There, oh, she thought about it. Now get the timing. Bring the timing back a little bit. Bring your throttle up. Purring like a kitten. All right, so now we got it running good. You turn it over here so it runs on its magnetos, and you're good to go. The only other button in here that you even have to know about is your lights. High beam, low beam. That's all your buttons you got. So she's pretty much ready to go. So you put your shifter all the way down. You start to press in on the throttle. Give it a little gas, off you go. So you want to make sure you got plenty of big enough hole when you pull out on the road on this thing, because you're not getting out of the way too quick. If someone gets behind you, they're usually not too happy. Well, we got a good hole here. So you get some speed going, like you typically would anything else. Lift off the shifter, then the second gear. Back to the throttle. I'll adjust the fuel a little bit here. And then your timing. So here we are pulling up to a red light here. The first thing you do, you start slowing down early, because you're just not sure about how quick you're going to stop. All the way back on the throttle, you find neutral with your left pedal, and then you go to the brake with your right pedal. And then you find your way right in here. So you can tell the shifter's still all the way down. I'm sitting in my neutral until we stop. Then I can pull my brake all the way back, and I can sit at the red light here all day long. I don't want to though, because I want to drive. About 5 years ago or so, Edsel Ford was in town, and I got to take Edsel a ride in this passenger seat, and I had Darrell Waltrip sitting back there, and I drove him around Concord, North Carolina, and then at the end of it, I had to get Edsel to sign my car, because I thought it was cool. I had a member of the Ford family riding in my Model T. Check out the turning radius of this bad boy. Turn on a dime, give me 5 cents change. Off we go. 0 to 60, never. You'll never get there. I always like driving this car, and I got a Ford GT. I got a 2018 Ford GT, and I always like driving this car and then jumping in the GT, just seeing how far technology has come. It makes you think, in 100 years it's come that far. What's another 100 years look like? You just don't know. Oh no, she turned yellow. That's max stopping capabilities right there. That's all she had. So when you're cruising around, it's fun, right? You're kind of out in the open. People waving, look at, they think it's great. So you're in your parking spot, you gotta back out. What do? You get your foot on the clutch pedal. You put your throttle down, or your shifter down a little bit, to where it's almost engaged but not. Then you can get your foot put on the reverse pedal. Back you go. Well, as you can tell probably by now, you can see why this is my favorite car to drive. So much fun, so challenging, all over the place. 5-star crash rating, just incredible all the way from the beginning to the end. Lots of fun, and I think I had a few people that have fun watching out there while we're on the road too. So thanks for coming along for the ride. Hope you learned something new about Ford's heritage, about Ford's Model T, how to drive it in case you ever need to get out of bind and this is your only way out. Well, now you know what to do.